Uh, Welcome to today's research webinar. Today we have with us Professor Junhyuk Yang. Professor Yang is an assistant professor of marketing at the Mendoza's College of Business, University of Notre Dame, and a faculty affiliate at the Computational Marketing Lab at Stanford Graduate School of Business. Professor Yang is a quantitative marketing researcher and studies topics related to digital economy, advertising, and media and entertainment markets. He has done some pioneering work uh, and has published quite a few papers very early in his career. And today he's talking about a very important and very contemporary platform paper on e-commerce search listings. We are very glad to have Professor Yang with us. And Junuk, without further ado, I hand it over to you.
Thank you, Anej. I mean, it was such a nice introduction. Nice to meet you, everyone. Thank you for coming to my seminar at this late afternoon. There in India, I guess 6:30, right? I mean, here it is 8 a.m. It's not too early for me, but yeah, thank you anyway. So again, my name is Junhyuk Yang, Assistant Professor of Marketing at University of Notre Dame. And today I'm going to present a paper with Nadip Sani and Harikesh Nair at Stanford, and Si Seong, who was a senior data scientist in the company JD.com when we were running this analysis and experiment. Now she's at TikTok. So I have like 45 minutes for presentation and 15 minutes Q&A.
Yes, please. And if people can have questions, maybe they can put it in the chat window and we can take it from there.
Sure. Let me open the chat box then. Yeah. Please feel free to post any questions. I'm monitoring the chat box in the real time, so I can respond to it as well. So I'm gonna target 45 minutes, and let me start with this. The problem we are trying to address in this paper, or at least we are trying to provide a new perspective to this problem. So what is the problem? The problem is the facilitating the product discoverability on platforms. So by product discoverability, I'm talking about how platforms can make users happy and easy to search the product they want on a platform, which is not an easy question because on the supply side, there's a lot of products a modern large e-commerce companies are selling. We're not just talking about millions and 10 millions. In the context, I'm gonna study the company on a typical day has like 1 million new SKU added to the platform. And on the demand side, we are all different. So solving this problem for Anuj, for instance, is not gonna solve the problem for me. So this is a super complex problem. And what do we have as a humankind as a solution to this problem is the sophisticated search engine. Search engine is nothing but a mapping from data to an ordered list of products. So you can think of this as a mapping is done by some machine learning algorithm. So we're trying to map some kind of data to search result, right? You type some search query and you see the from number 1 item to number 1 million product in your search result. And this is a core issue for many platforms, not just e-commerce platforms. Google is a search platform. They're solving the same problem. That's why we see many companies are having very large team, a bunch of computer scientists and also statistics and economists solving this problem as their daily job. So I told you the search engine is nothing but a mapping from data to some search ranking using machine learning algorithm. And in this paper, we want to focus on this data part, what kind of data they are using to solve this problem. And there a long history of filtering or information retrieval in computer science. We talk about collaborative filtering, user item-based filtering, some syndication of them. But what I found fascinating is these days the companies, especially the e-commerce companies, are heavily relying on the historical user item engagement data. So user item engagement data, you can think of something like page visits and conversion, reviews, ratings. I mean, the types of data that can be only generated by users by interacting with some product. You browse some product, you click or either not click, or you also decide to leave a comment or not to leave a comment, right? But by design, such data are very sparse for new product, right? New product, I mean, the definition of new product, I mean, this is day zero. I just posted my product, or I just uploaded my product to the platform, and no one has seen that yet. So we cannot expect for new product, at least for its early days, have enough data for the firm or the platform to use any sophisticated machine learning algorithm to come up with some search ranking, right? And this is just an example of cold start problem, and we view this as a fundamental information problem for search engine design. Okay, so what we do in this paper is like we think about the platform business as a whole. So the platform is sitting between the vendors who are selling their products through this platform and users who are buying products from vendors through this platform, and platform is just in the middle of that. And between platform and users, there's a product market, right? And from product market, we get the data on product characteristics and user behavior and all the user item engagement data I just described in the previous slide. And most search engines rely on data from the product market, okay? But there's another market for platforms, which is advertising market. So platforms are not only intermediating the products from vendor to users, but they are also directly selling their ad spot to vendors. So vendors, for instance, I'm trying to sell some handcrafted stuff to like on Amazon, something like that, or eBay. I can buy the ad spot on Amazon or eBay. And vendors, someone like me are generating data on this market as well, right? My decision about whether or not to advertise on this platform, also how much I want to spend on ad budget on this platform is another form of data this platform is collecting about me. Okay, and what about this? The reality is there is a very stark separation between these two markets. This is almost like church and state. And where did it start? It started from Freedom Page 1998. If you're a podcast listener of Freakonomics Radio, a couple of weeks ago, we have a very nice coverage of this heritage or legacy. That the Brin Page, I mean, here I'm talking about Sergey Brin and Larry Page. They are the founder of the Google, and their 1998 paper they wrote while they were still at Stanford. They have very nice appendix section, Appendix A actually, and one of the sentences in that paper is giving weightage to advertising can deteriorate the quality of search listings. So they intentionally put this separation between those two markets, worrying about maybe using advertising data can send very negative signal to the market users, and also allow the sellers to game the system. Low quality sellers can use this advertising channel to falsely signal their quality, something like that, right? And it was 30 years ago, and even today we still have that separation. I'm copying this from Google's website. Google ads are paid online advertising, which appear to next to relevant searches, blah blah blah. But running on a Google ads campaign does not help you your search engine optimization, which means search and search rankings, despite some myths and claims. And if you just Google this Google ads search, something like keywords like that, you can see there are many people claiming that Googles are not saying they're using advertising data, but there's some evidence they're doing that, but that we do not know what the reality is, because the Google's official stance is that we are not using that data at all. Okay. And this is the industry practice. We have very stark separation between advertising market and the product market. And at Google and also in many search platforms, including many e-commerce platforms, there are separate teams, right? Search team, they're working on organic listings. Advertising team, they are working on just advertising market. Maybe they meet and discuss, oh, how many spots we want to allow for advertising in your search engine. Like maybe every 10 products, I can show you one sponsored or ad listings. But other than that, the data are not flowing between the two teams. But we, as a marketing researcher and economist, we know there's a very beautiful theory about advertising as information, right? Advertising can serve as some signal about the quality, right? There are both theoretical and empirical literature on how advertising work. I'm just showing you a very simple dichotomy of how advertising is working. The first one is advertising information as information, which is what we are focusing on this paper. So advertising can work as information in two ways. The first one is direct information, or it can be directly informative. Like you can learn about this product's existence, right? Advertising can help this product to put them in your consideration set, and you learn about their prices, product attributes, right? And there's a larger empirical literature that this is really working. This is how advertising has value, and so many companies are putting a lot of money on the advertising market. And the platform design implication of from this set of literature is that, yeah, maybe platforms should show advertising. There's just some balance. Maybe you do not want to show, you do not want to have a search listing full of ads, but there's some right balance. Maybe every 5 or 10 ads, organic search listings, maybe it might be good to have some advertising or sponsored listing there. Advertising can also work as an indirect information channel. And this is a somewhat nuanced, this is the equilibrium phenomenon. Just without even you do not see this ad, just hearing from your friend that, oh, this company is burning money on advertising market should have some implications about to your belief about the quality of the product this company is selling, or the quality of the company itself. And there is a small but emerging empirical literature that this is really happening on the field. And what this paper is focusing on is that what is the platform design implications, right? If there's a equilibrium effect of advertising as a signal, how can platforms utilize that information to make the platform better? Okay. All right. So, but as I told you before, the empirical theory, empirical papers, and also the theory Nelson in 1970s, that is beautiful theory, but the testing it, but the outcome, outcome I'm thinking about, if the platform use this mechanism when designing their platform, should we expect some good result or good outcome for this platform? There's no definitive prediction from theory to empirical work for 3 reasons. The first one is, the question is whether there will be equilibrium separation. So we know Lemon's problem, I told you before, the maybe low quality sellers can game the system. So advertising data is just very, very noisy and cannot do a good job in separating high quality versus low quality products or the sellers. Okay. The second thing is the empirical question, which is maybe advertising, your action as an advertiser can have some information, but the more important question maybe is that information be incrementally helpful? So we're talking about very large e-commerce company, like think about Amazon or Flipkart in India. They are like information powerhouse. Maybe they have more data about us than any companies, maybe including the government or the states. So adding this information or adding this variable to solve any kind of problem, the essential question is there anything left? Is there anything we can learn in addition to what we already have? So this is the second challenge, or the things we have to think about when thinking about this paper. The third one is a very practical challenge, which is, I told you about this 30 years long the separation between these two markets. So the one challenge the biggest challenge we had while doing this research was that, oh, we have some predictions, we have some theory, we have some, anticipation and conjecture, and this is a good idea to test on field, but how we can persuade any company to test out this idea, right? And they worry about all the negative consequences of doing this. So and also the experimentation is not trivial. Okay, so despite these three challenges, what we do and what we're trying to show in this paper is that we work with a large e-commerce platform, JD.com, the second largest e-commerce company in China, to redesign their search ranking algorithm to incorporate this ad information. And then we run an experiment by randomizing users into two different treatment arms and show what is happening. And JD.com, if you do not know the company, is pretty large company. It had in 2020 over almost 470 million active users and 400 billion USD GMV, gross merchandising value. This is slightly smaller than Amazon, but much larger than any other companies, e-commerce companies in the United States, for instance, right? And also we had to, this is not a simple experimentation. You just send an email to one group and a separate email to another group, but this required us to redesign its core search engine over 1 year period. That involved, couple hundred engineers working on this project to come up with this new algorithm. Okay, then I'm gonna show that we see some effect of using this advertising information, and we are utilizing about 7.7 million users in this experiment, and we're gonna show the effect is not coming from this very typical things people do when they run an experiment on the platform. Is just looking at the click-through rate or clicks or searches, and because the purchase is very noisy measure, right? It's hard to detect any effect there if the sample size is not big enough or your treatment is not strong enough. But we are going to show there's a reason why we focus on the how can I say this? The purchase is really important for us because the theoretical prediction about other measures in the consumer, the purchase funnel is not. The prediction is ambiguous. So the purchase is the only thing we can take a look here. So I'm going to show you the result in a bit. Okay. So we find the result, just quick summary. We find using advertising information to organic search ranking can be helpful, not only for platforms, but also for the users. And here I'm emphasizing the fact that our finding has a short-term nature. So our finding is in the short run, and I have a long discussion about what would happen in the long run and what should we worry about. And there's some additional work we do about the long run result. Okay, and I told you about the platform purchase, hard to move outcome measures. All right, so that's basically this paper in this project. Let me pause here for a bit to see if there's any questions here.
I see one question in the window.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Which says, besides incremental information, there is the chance of having random information. Is there any implication for this?
I see. Beside incremental information. Yeah, okay. So there's random information, like I told you about the equilibrium separation, right? So maybe, not just random, but maybe negative information, maybe advertising companies are maybe lower quality. So that's why, I think this is empirical question, this question, the project we're doing here is an empirical question. Theoretically, we can expect the effect should be higher, and there is some at least one theory paper just published in Marketing Science using this equilibrium and advertising as implicit signal to show that the platforms can better off by using this paper. But the reason why we are writing this empirical paper is that maybe the information is random. That maybe the information or the advertising action versus quality is negatively correlated. So the results are still ambiguous, or in each case, the result can be to the different direction. So yes, hopefully that addressed your question. If not, let me know. Please jump in later in my talk. Okay. All right. So my plan today is I'm gonna, because we do not have that much time, I'm gonna spend much of time explaining how we ran this experiment, a little bit about data and result, and something I call as epilogue, because after this experiment, the platform actually adopted the new the algorithm we developed together, and I have something to talk about this long-term effect. And the important thing, again, the last thing I want to talk about is the implications, what we learned from this paper, and what are some implications of this paper, the research we are finding too, not only theoretical stuff and also for managerial stuff. Okay. In the interest of time, I'm gonna just skip this literature section, but I just want to say the paper is broadly related to the platform design, how the platforms can reveal the private information of sellers and products and use it for platform design. And the second bucket is digital advertising. I mean, there are lots of papers talking about is ad market is good or bad for platforms, and most of them are focusing on this direct channel of advertising, where the consumers have some avoidance. I mean, they don't like ads, so this is a direct channel. But what we are doing here is that maybe there's an indirect mechanism by which advertising can be helped, right? And lastly, I mean, CS literature on search algorithm design, and also the product market effect of online search engines on search advertising. And I have to mention this. I mean, we are looking at this digital economy and e-commerce platforms, but in the older literature in marketing, there are papers talking about in the offline setting, maybe we can use sellers' information to reveal their quality, something like that. Okay, experiment. So the experiment was run for 16 days in 2020, in the middle of COVID, from March 4th and 19th. And this was targeted to users who are using the mobile app of the company. And we tested this for 7.7 million users. The randomization was done at the user level. And when a user arrived to this platform during this time window for 16 days, we randomized them into either A or B, and they stay in that condition for the remaining up to 16 days, okay? And here, we are talking about two treatment arms. The treatment A is we are boosting new products ranking without using advertising market. And treatment B is boosting new products ranking using advertising market. So it's very simple two treatments, but to understand what is really going on, I want to show you this architecture of search engine first. Okay, so imagine you're a user on a platform, or your landing page is just Amazon, the first page, something like that. You submit a query term Q. And what the search engine on that platform does is it does something in the back end and returns the ranked list of products, LQ. This is a vector, right? And search engine is doing just two things. The first thing is, given the query term, it is using some machine learning algorithm. I'm just abstracting is as a function f governed by set of parameters theta, using the data xj to come up with the score for this product, every product on the platform, right? And the data they're using is the SKU database. They know about what these products look like, what the prices and attributes, and also how users have previously interacted with this product, okay? And after this, it just sorts all the products from J1 to Jn, and number one goes to the top of your search listing, search and results, and followed by second and third items. Okay, and this is just very simple depiction of search engine. And again, you can see the feature axes are not, rich. I mean, it is very sparse for new products. So the new product does not have a background to compete with these existing products, which has been recognized as companies for a long time. So what they're doing as a legacy algorithm, algorithm A, is that they're boosting the new product search engine ranking by adding additional layer here, right? This layer is using the same set of database, same set of data to compute some boosting score for every new product on the platform and plug this boosting score back into the scoring function of the original search engine, right? So under this schema or framework, new products ranking will go up. But how much, whether or not, and also how much they can go up is still depending on the same set of data, XJ, which is again very sparse for new product. And this is the legacy algorithm we are using as one of the treatment condition, treatment A. And what is treatment B? And this is another version of boosting new product, but now we are using advertising information on top of all the variables they are using previously. So by advertising information, we're talking about two things. The first thing is whether this SKU was advertised in the last N days. The second thing is something's called ad score. It's a normalized value, but it captures how much you spent on this platform for this product in the previous 15 days or N days. Okay. Oh, I'm seeing a question here. What is the use of data? As I see it's constant if we omit this rule model be affected. Oh, here the data is just a set of parameters or set of rules that is governing this scoring function. So you can just think of this as some machine learning algorithm is mapping these data. The mapping is done by a set of parameters and rules and the functional forms, given this search algorithm Q to come up with some scoring function. Okay, so here you can see the difference between A and B is whether, under the same framework, whether we use advertising data into this boosting algorithm. Okay, and each of this algorithm has been developed for at least 6 months, right? We have inputs are different, and we train an algorithm with some objective. So we want to maximize GMV, how we can set the parameter value data, and also what are the optimal functional form or set of rules for these types of data. And we come up with this algorithm FA and FB, and the outcome is we see different search results. Okay, and after looking at this, I think some of you may wonder, what is the treatment then here? What is the treatment we are trying to measure here? Because we are not only changing the data source, but also the algorithms are different. Okay, so let me be very clear about this. The treatment effect, or the treatment here we're talking about, is the net effect of two things. The first thing is a change in platform's information set. So we are expanding the set of data or the data space these platforms can use when designing the search engine. But in response to this change in data set or the information set, the algorithm is also changing, because the optimal algorithm for a set of data is different to a different set of data, right? So I can give you some analogy for this kind of things. Think about some personal economics. So you're talking about different level of worker training, or you want to give a worker training or not, but managers will respond to different levels of worker training, and we are measuring the productivity. And here we have treatment here, and some intermediaries are responding to the treatment. And the effect we are measuring using productivity measure is that the net effect of worker training and manager response. The same story for the class size and teacher's response. And here, our treatment, we started with this data, but the machine learning algorithm adjusts in response to different set of data. and we are measuring the user behavior. Okay, so with this new algorithm compared to legacy, we want to see, we are expecting this kind of change. First, for organic listing, new products that have advertised previously, we are putting some positive boosting scores or higher boosting scores for these products. So their search ranking will go up. It is more likely that you will see this product on your first search result, not in the second page 2, something like that. But because your search result is something like real estate or the fixed space, shelf space on a retailer. So something is going up, then something should go down, right? And that is new and existing, both new and existing products that does not have not advertised on this platform previously. So their search ranking will be displaced. And what about sponsored as a sponsored product listing? And they're not going to change. Right? And then we are measuring how users are responding to this search result. So the sum of all these 3 effects are going to manifest in the comparison we are making here between the algorithm A and B. Okay, visually, we are expecting something like this. So you always have the same set of ads on top or in some place of your search result, and you have some organic products that did not get affected by this change in algorithm, but maybe at some point you see different set of new product. Right, under algorithm A, this is the product that was not advertising, but in algorithm B, this is a product that is advertising on the platform. Okay, but I'm not saying we are directly manipulating the ranking of the product. We are just changing the algorithm and let the algorithm to determine which products show in which position. The implication of that is we can see something like this. Maybe this change in algorithm does not have any impact on search listing, depending on what query term at what time we're talking about. Okay, so that was about the experiment, and let me go through the data really quick. So again, 16 days of the experiment in 2020, and we had about 3.8 million people in each condition. And they made about 54 million searches in this condition. The randomization looked really good. Because we worked with this platform, we were not able to randomize by ourselves because they have their own algorithm or the experimentation platform that does this randomization for themselves. So we had to check this very carefully. And the split looks good, the timing of arrival is very well balanced. And we also used a bunch of pre-experimental user behavior to see if there's any difference between these 2 groups. And it looked very good. And from this slide, all the numbers I'm gonna show you is not a real number. This is a part of NDA, DUA. So we had to normalize these numbers or somehow masking this number, not to disclose the real stuff. But the relative the comparison are still there. So for instance, say every time you search, on average, you're gonna see 100 products. And just 3% of the products you're seeing after searching is new product. And the click-through rate is very, very low, especially for new product. It's just 9% of click-through rate. So, and I told you that we're looking at the purchases, but purchases is even more highly skewed. So from our data, we are seeing more than 70% of the people didn't make any purchase on this platform during 16-day period. So the empirical challenge this is giving to us is that this highly skewed distribution and lots of zeros, it makes it a little tricky to do this very standardized statistical test, like taking the average and do the t-test is not going to work very well for us. There's something we do in addition to all the analysis we do to address this problem. And the second thing is the treatment intensity is there. Let me just talk about this last row, E, the sum of viewed new products ad score, which is the tendency of showing a new advertised new products on your search result is about 4.4% higher in treatment B because we boosted the ad score or the search score for this advertised new products. But the difference 4.4%, and maybe it's not too small for users to detect if there's any difference between two algorithms, right? So the treatment intensity is not very drastic. So maybe if we do not find any effect from comparing this A and B, maybe there was no experimental variation at all. So we have to check it very carefully. And this table is showing some of the variation. And an additional thing, I do not have slide for today here, is that we also show we are looking at some part of data in which we believe the treatment intensity is higher, and our prediction is we should see the higher the treatment effect in that case, which we see and report in the paper. Okay, let me go over really quickly on result. So we started from this theory, advertising may solve as information about the quality. And if this is true, and if we have incremental value in advertising data, the quality of search listing from B and Q should have this inequality, right? The quality of using B should be greater than or equal to A. And users may have a belief about the quality of this platform or the product using some B function. And the observed outcome, Y, is the purchase, is a function of belief, which is a function of quality, should be greater than greater for B than A. And again, because of the treatment intensity, maybe this belief updating process should be moderated by the level of treatment intensity. Okay. We do not observe these intermediary steps, and this is the theory. We cannot test directly. What we are observing is this part. This is our empirical strategy. So by testing this inequality between user behavior, we are inferring maybe something's going on here, and that is consistent with theory. Okay, so what are the outcome measures we are looking at is total purchases. We're looking at three things: the conversion, whether the user has made at least one product, purchased at least one product on this platform or not. So this is a binary variable. The next two things is the non-binary variables. The first thing is number of orders a user made on this platform during the up to 16 days, and GMV. You can think of GMV as revenue. Okay. The reason why we are looking at these three is not like preceding steps like clicks or whether they make search, is because higher search quality, higher search rankings, or higher quality of search listings or search results can either increase or decrease your click-through rate. Because if you really like the search result, you can click, you can buy, and you never come back. Okay, but at the same time, higher quality of search results can make you to be engaged more with this platform and maybe clicking more and search more. So the search quality and the relation between search quality and the number of clicks and number of searches can be either positive or negative. But for purchase, this ambiguity is gone, right? If you like, you buy more. But that's why we look at the total purchases. There are other technical stuff, some sample size issue, but this is what we landed on. And I report the result in a regression form. So Y is one of the three outcome measures, and regressive just using the treatment B dummy. So the fact that we are seeing the positive numbers here, we don't need to read the coefficient here, but they're all significant, and I'm translating into percentage difference: 0.25% increase in conversion, 0.4% increase in number of orders, and 0.57% increase in GMV. And I'm also showing you the 95% confidence interval. And you may think this is a very small change, but if you think about the JD.com's annual GMV is 400 billion USD. So if we are willing to extrapolate this number into annual GMV, we are talking about over $2 billion increase in total sales by changing this search algorithm. So this is statistically significant, but and also economically very significant. Okay, a more interesting result. I'm breaking down this result into different types of product. So look at this second and third row, and here I'm showing you advertising new products. So their search rankings are boosted. Okay, so the organic listings, because the new products are now showing more on organic listings, and we believe they are higher quality, so their sales go up. But at the same time, the sponsored listing goes down. There's some displacement effect or substitution between organic and sponsored listing, but the net effect is positive. Okay, so this part is exactly what we envisioned based on this theory, but more interesting part is this second set of box in the red box. So the non-boosted products, their search ranking went down actually, because these products search engine went up. But what we see for this product is that, not only organic listings, but also sponsored listing, their sales went up, which is a puzzle, right? And there also the net effect is positive and significant. And the question is why we see the effect is greater than 0 for non-boosted product. And we provide in the paper one explanation is the return probability. So this graph is, I'm showing you that just the users who entered this experiment on day 1, and what is their return probability to the platform in the next 15 days. So you can imagine a line in the middle of the graph here. And on the left, we do not really see the difference between the two. But in the second part, we see users who are treated with algorithm B is more likely to return and make search, make click, and make purchases. Okay, and this is an indirect evidence that is suggesting that maybe users who are treated with algorithm B, where we are using advertising data to boost some of the new products, are happier or like more this platform search listing and come back to the platform and make another activity there. And that's why we see the effect. It's not only for the boosted product, but also for non-boosted product. Okay, so I see I'm almost out of time, just about 5 minutes. Let me just wrap up, just showing you the epilogue and the implications. So what happened after this experiment? The platform was really happy about the result. They realized that they can make a lot of money by using advertising data. And here I'm showing you something in Chinese. I cannot read it, so I just use the Google translation to show that they just rolled out this new algorithm to the entire platform. Okay, right after the experiment, after the checking the result, and communicating with their sellers or vendors that they are now using the advertising information when they're determining their organic search listings. This is good. I mean, the platform can make more money, but as a researcher, the thing we worry about is this long run effect. Now all the sellers know. I mean, during our experiments, no one knew that we are doing this experiment, especially the sellers and users. I mean, we do not have direct evidence, but I cannot think of any users that sophisticated to detect the differences between the legacy and new algorithm. But sellers now, they all know after this announcement that, oh, maybe I can spend more advertising dollars or money to boost my organic search listing. And then the problems begin. Okay, maybe they adjust their pricing strategy. Maybe their product, what product they want to put on this platform, their advertising, and all the things can change. And the question is, in this situation, would this benefit or harm the platform users and sellers? Okay, and here's a diagram that is summarizing what I'm talking about. So when we were running this experiment, the platform was globally in algorithm A, because algorithm A was the legacy algorithm. And we are randomizing very small fraction of users here and randomizing them into A and B. and measure the difference between A and B. Now, in the long run, the platform has changed to B. This is a new era, new world, new equilibrium, right? And here we can also think about randomizing A and B and measure something, okay? What we are doing is comparing these two in blue world. It's one version of equilibrium, and we call it local effect or partial equilibrium effect. The general equilibrium effect or the global shipment effect is the difference between A here, when platform is under A and you pick some users here, and you pick some users here, B, when the platform is globally in B. And the difference between this B and this A is the global effect, right? Unlike local effect, the global effect is accounting for the platform has moved from A era to B era. Now sellers are behaving inconsistent with the platform is using advertising data, right? But measuring this global effect is really hard because there is a temporal separability and spatial separability. This is a single platform, right? Serving quite homogeneous market. So we cannot randomize geographic different regions in one, maybe in China, we do this experiment, and in India, we keep this algorithm A and measure the long-term effect. This is not what we are doing and what we cannot do in this paper. Then how do we interpret our result? This is not the global effect. What the local effect is telling us is that our result is answering the question of this one. The following long-standing practice in the tech industry, the platform search ranking and advertising market are strictly separated. Remember the very first slide I showed you, there's a strict separation between state and church or the search team and advertising market. And all the user behavior and sellers' behaviors are in some equilibrium under this algorithm A. And we are showing there is a big difference between B and A here, right? When platform is under this A, if we test out this new algorithm, we detect some change. This expectation, this quantity is strictly positive. And this is telling us that, is this setup optimal for consumers? Or is there any incentive to deviate from the current state for the platform? And this paper documents that it is yes. Okay. This is actually where we stopped when we first submit this paper to Marketing Science. And I mean, the reviewers and the review team asked us to do a little bit more, dig further into these parts, just don't stop there just saying you cannot do it. So we went back to the platform and asking for more data after the experiment. So we were lucky we could get 3 months post-experiment data, and using that we do, if there's any lag effect on user behavior who are in A, who are in B, maybe there's some spillover effect of being treated on either A and B during the experiment. And the second thing is, because this adoption or rollout, there's some staggered rollout going on, staggered adoption. Different product category, they have their own product category manager, and they made their decisions to when to adopt this new algorithm in this 3 months period. So we have some staggered adoption, and we leverage that variation to do some kind of difference in differences analysis to measure if there's any longer run effect we can detect here. And I'm just summarizing the result here, and we found there's no negative effect for user behavior. So actually users are indifferent between A and B when the platform is globally in B. One thing we can learn from this is that the treatment is short-lived. The effect is short-lived. And using the different analysis, we look at either seller behavior and also equilibrium outcome. We see sellers in response to this policy change, they add more new items to platform, which is good for this platform. And we looked at the average ratings as a very noisy proxy of the product quality, and we do not see any changes in product quality of newly added products to this platform after adopting this new policy. And new product sales went up, and it didn't have any cannibalization to old products. So we can say, up to 3 months after this experiment, the long run effect or longer term effect is not negative at all. This new algorithm is still helping the platform to make more money and being more successful, and users are happier. But this is a caveat. This is just 3 months analysis. Maybe this is 2022 December now, so it's almost been like more than 2 years after adopting this algorithm for the platform. So maybe now this is a good time to test if there's any negative consequences of this by looking at sellers' behavior and how users are reacting. Okay, very quick 2 slides on implications. So we show that this indirect mechanism of advertising as signal theory to test out this stuff. And this is a new articulation of the value of having an ad business for a platform. And again, I want to emphasize that the theory can motivate, but fundamentally this was an empirical question. And this directly tells us about the separation between market and a product market and an ad market. Still, the JD.com is maybe one of the very few companies who has adopted using advertising data very carefully just for new product, which is just 1% of the product they are selling, not for entire product. We never know what would happen if they are using this advertising platform for all products. Maybe that is revolutionary and inviting all this gaming the system and Lemon's problem. But our paper is showing that this very careful utilization of new data source can help the platform business and user welfare incrementally. And maybe, you know, putting this separation is just kind of political statement in these days. We have to think about how we can use this new form of data by mitigating some negative consequences. And also, we are showing that the platform consumers are pretty sensitive to platform design, right? So platform design can put some competitive pressure on the competition between platforms. So we are talking a lot about the monopoly or antitrust between, you know, leading platforms. If what they're claiming that they are competing with other platforms, but if this is really true, we are showing that the very small change in platform design, maybe search algorithm is not a small thing, but some change in platform design can make people to leave or come more to the platform, which has an implication about the policy debates around this issue. And theoretically, this is one of the reasons I really like about this paper is that, I mean, we are talking a lot about data science and machine learning. Now data can solve everything, right? But note that, I mean, JD.com have over 100, maybe 200 to 300 people working on search algorithm. They are all smart PhDs in computer science, something like that. But no one there has tried to do this, right? Before talking with us as a marketing researcher and economist who have better knowledge about the theory. So this is a nice showcase that while the data and machine learning is really powerful, but there is still room for our training, our research, and our education as a room for playing an important role to design these big tech decisions. And lastly, our paper also motivates a new theory. So we talk about the private information stuff, but the Nelson's 1970 paper about the consumers can observe sellers of advertising decisions and update their belief about the quality of these sellers and products. But here we are putting this intermediary, the platform, into the picture, and they're playing as a role of information intermediary. They're collecting all the information from sellers, the advertising information, and somehow process that information, and the processed information is passing through the consumers. though I haven't seen rich theory papers on this realm, and I expect, there are going to be more papers on this, and I hope this paper is motivating some of that work. Okay, and I'm running out of time, and thank you so much for paying attention. And I'm happy to take any questions you have.
Awesome. This was some great work, Junior. I don't see any question right now in the chat window, but I just have quick one or two questions. One was regarding, though we can see that advertising serves as a signal, and there are papers to show that. Here we are assuming the advertising that was done on platform, right? And we are not talking about, say, the other advertising which was done not through the platform. And we are assuming, because it's all random, that that advertising or that signaling effect has no impact on the products that are sold on the platform.
Yeah, I think that's one of the areas on new research I can expect following my research here, is that we are just talking about the advertising data coming from your forecourt market, right?
Right.
Here's a platform, and platforms are not sharing the advertising data. But maybe the next thing we have to think about is, what if I can also, as a platform, can buy data from other platforms, not only advertising data, but also any different kind of sellers' behavior on other platforms. Say Amazon and eBay are signing an agreement to create a data market so that they can sell and buy user information, not user information, the seller information between the company. Then the platform gets richer, right? I mean, we have different. We're gonna have. It's not. I'm not gonna say it's gonna always help. They're gonna do always better job, but at least the data set will be really richer. And people talk a lot about data privacy, about user data, right? I mean, any state or regulators are not gonna be really keen to transacting user data between large companies. But what about seller data? Is it gonna have net positive the welfare effect to users? Maybe then it's gonna allow at some point. Or maybe some companies are already doing it by trading the seller data. Then yeah, I think there's a really interesting place to look at. And if we can get that kind of stuff, I mean, that also speaks to the value of data, the literature in economics, the data economics, and how we should think about this from the perspective of regulators and also the users and platforms or the companies, the market power, all related, very interesting topics.
Right. And just a quick thought that I had on, you showed the graphs on non-boosted products and how there was an impact there as well.
Sure.
So there's this work, theoretical work by Jivung Sheen and Dina Maislin, where they actually showed that if there is a high type firm or a low type firm, and everyone can actually show, say, 5 attributes or 6 attributes because of limited space and limited bandwidth. And what they showed was that the high type firm has the incentive to show lesser features because that is an invitation to search for the consumer, right? And the low type firms probably want to show the best, but and you also show that the consumers here are not probably that sophisticated or forward looking that they can anticipate this kind of stuff. So not sure if some of these results can actually be we can slice the data and say segregate firms into high type and low type, right? Depending on some matrix, and we might get some insights there. But just like I'm thinking out aloud here because you showed these
I see.
results.
Yeah, I know the paper. It's a fun paper. There's lots of weird world use cases of that theory. I mean, people at some more prestigious schools are revealing less information or something like that. Yeah. And nice. I'm gonna think about that. So, but the biggest problem about that is, although we have some proxies about the product quality and seller quality, the reason why we started the problem is that this product is that measures are very noisy and are not doing very good job in sorting out good versus high versus low quality product or sellers. So that's why we need some new perspective or some innovation in data or in also machine learning area to do a better job in that. So, but again, I can use some proxy for product quality or seller quality to see if they are revealing more information or not on platform. That might be more relevant in the post this experiment era, because now the sellers know the advertising data is used, so maybe their decision to advertise more or less is also a function of how they, think strategically, in sending signals to the consumers and
Right.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I think we don't have any further questions. This was an amazing talk. Thank you once again for taking out time, something which is so into real world, and we can see the impact also that has happened because of this study. Thank you, Junyak, once again for taking out time, and we'll be in touch as well. So thank you once again.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Feel free to send me an email if you want to ask any follow-up questions or for any of my other research. I'm gonna be really happy to answer that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good evening.